very similar. I think just her efficiency and the way she does it consistently. She's such a. I was watching some of the game back last night. Like her ability to cut and then finish through contact is some of the best I've ever seen. And it's not like she's a tall guard.
Esports world is currently shaking on its very axis and vibrating with an unprecedented level of behind-the-scenes anxiety, because Caitlin Clark is reportedly preparing to execute the most jaw-dropping, landscape-altering, and fundamentally disruptive career move in the entire history of modern professional athletics. Insiders, deeply embedded league sources, and completely baffled front office executives from across the basketball ecosystem are whispering in hushed, panicked tones that the Indiana Fever superstar and undeniable face of women's basketball is quietly but aggressively finalizing a monumental departure from the WNBA. According to these highly placed anonymous sources, she is preparing to join a heavily funded, completely autonomous, and revolutionary rival basketball league, a move that is reportedly leaving WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert and NBA Commissioner Adam Silver completely blindsided, frantically scrambling for contingency plans, and, quite literally, in tears over the terrifying potential collapse of their carefully monopolized, decades-old media empire. For many long and tumultuous months, the mainstream sports media apparatus, beholden to its broadcasting contracts and terrified of losing access, has been desperately trying to keep a tightly sealed lid on the violently simmering tensions behind closed doors. But the dam has finally and irrevocably broken. Multiple highly placed anonymous sources, including sports agents who operate at the highest echelons of the industry, are now loudly saying that Clark has simply had enough. She has reportedly had enough of the thinly veiled disrespect from league veterans, enough of the relentless physical battering that goes completely unpunished by referees, and enough of the sheer administrative incompetence of a current regime that seems entirely incapable of capitalizing on the greatest gift it has ever been handed. These insiders are explicitly stating that she is completely ready to walk away from the Legacy League that she has essentially subsidized with her own immense gravitational pull over the past 2 years, preparing to take her tens of millions of fiercely dedicated fans with her to a brand new, globally backed, private equity-funded Super League. This new venture is not just a pipe dream. It is an aggressively materialized organization that is reportedly willing to offer her the kind of unprecedented, 9-figure ownership equity and direct revenue-sharing percentages that the WNBA couldn't even dream of providing within its current restrictive, archaic financial framework. This isn't just a fleeting internet rumor anymore. It is a meticulously calculated, incredibly sophisticated exit strategy that is being fast-tracked behind the scenes by her elite representation, and the palpable panic radiating from the league offices in New York City is absolutely undeniable, as executives suddenly and violently realize their ultimate golden goose is packing her bags and walking out the door. But before we dive deep into the verified financial documents, the shockingly explicit leaked conversations, the historical precedents, and the absolute chaos currently unfolding at the highest levels of professional basketball management, I need you to do me a massive, quick favor to help us continue bringing you this kind of fearless reporting. Our deeply detailed YouTube analytics are showing that a staggering, almost unbelievable 87% of the people watching this very video right now are not actually subscribed to the channel, which means you are actively and unnecessarily missing out on the absolute biggest breaking investigations and independent sports journalism on this platform. Do yourself a massive favor. Take control of your sports news feed. Hit that red subscribe button right now. Turn on the all notifications bell and comprehensively smash that like button so the algorithm knows you want the unvarnished, uncompromising truth that the mainstream sports networks are simply too terrified and financially compromised to report. It literally takes 2 seconds of your time. It completely normalizes the necessary process of building our independent sports community away from the corporate gatekeepers. And it absolutely ensures you will never be left out of the loop when massive, industry-shaking bombshells, exactly like this one, drop at 2 in the morning. To truly grasp the sheer, earth-shattering magnitude of what Caitlin Clark is reportedly about to pull off, you have to look outside the relatively small bubble of basketball and understand the massive historical precedents of generational athletes rewriting the global financial playbook through sheer leverage. What we are witnessing right now in real time is the exact same foundational paradigm shift we saw when global icon Lionel Messi completely bypassed the traditional European soccer infrastructure, ignoring the legacy clubs of the Premier League and La Liga, to secure a massive, unprecedented revenue-sharing agreement with Major League Soccer and Apple TV. Messi didn't just sign a playing contract. He essentially became a broadcasting partner and a stakeholder in the league's growth, fundamentally altering how athlete compensation is structured. Or, even more accurately and perhaps more terrifyingly for Cathy Engelbert, this is the exact same catastrophic shockwave that violently rocked the ancient foundation of professional golf when LIV Golf, backed by virtually bottomless sovereign wealth funds, threw billions upon billions of guaranteed dollars at PGA Tour defectors. That move forced a terrified, legacy-obsessed, and previously unchallenged establishment to either completely adapt its broken economic model or face total extinction. Caitlin Clark isn't just looking for a standard max contract under the WNBA's collective bargaining agreement. She is looking for the exact kind of foundational equity, structural control, and executive power that Tiger Woods or LeBron James demand in their respective fields. She is brilliantly leveraging her undeniable, statistically proven status as the primary, irreplaceable economic engine of women's sports to shatter a system that has repeatedly, systematically failed to protect her on and off the hardwood. By taking a page right out of the aggressive billionaire private equity playbook, utilizing a heavily funded rival venture to completely circumvent the restrictive, antiquated salary caps of the WNBA, she is artificially, but effectively inflating the credibility and sheer financial scale of this new league to a level that instantly makes it a direct, undeniable existential threat to Cathy Engelbert's entire legacy and Adam Silver's wider basketball monopoly. If you somehow still think this is just empty, baseless speculation, cooked up for clicks, just take a moment to listen to the absolute frenzy of unadulterated panic currently erupting across the entire sports broadcasting landscape, as the biggest, most connected names in sports media independently react to the exact same undeniable reality unfolding before our eyes. Just a few days ago, legendary, deeply respected broadcaster Dan Patrick took to his massive national radio platform and directly, unequivocally called out Cathy Engelbert, publicly demanding severe transparency and administrative accountability for the league's horrific, deeply concerning treatment of Clark. Patrick practically begged the commissioner on live air to logically explain why the single biggest athletic star in America is inexplicably officiated entirely differently than her peers, and subjected to relentless, unchecked, physically dangerous assaults on the hardwood night after night, without any institutional protection. Meanwhile, the incredibly influential Pat McAfee has been screaming into his microphone for weeks on ESPN about how the WNBA front office has continuously, hilariously fumbled the absolute biggest, most profitable gift they have ever been handed in the history of their existence, completely failing to market their superstar while simultaneously allowing her to be targeted. Stephen A. Smith, the undisputed king of sports television, has literally had to pause his own segments on First Take, rubbing his temples just to verbally process the sheer, unprecedented absurdity of the WNBA's front office mismanagement, repeatedly pointing out that they are actively driving away the very audience Clark brought to them. When you carefully string together these deeply impassioned rants from veteran, highly connected commentators, a crystal clear, inescapable consensus emerges from the noise. The entire sports media ecosystem internally knows that Caitlin Clark is being aggressively pushed to her absolute physical and mental breaking point by a legacy league that fundamentally resents her presence. They are all practically predicting her shocking departure in real time, forming a chorus of unified, highly broadcasted outrage. An endless, repeating loop of viral podcast clips and syndicated radio segments that are all pointing directly to the exact same logical conclusion. Caitlin Clark is simply too big, too profitable, and too culturally significant for a league that stubbornly refuses to treat her like the generational, once-in-a-lifetime anomaly she undeniably is, making her exit the only rational, mathematically sound conclusion to this ongoing, deeply embarrassing saga. But to fully and completely understand exactly why this rival league's reportedly massive $150 million guaranteed offer is so completely devastating to the WNBA's fragile ecosystem, you have to force yourself to look at the cold, hard, verifiable financial statistics, intimately mixed with these explosive, highly credible backroom rumors. Right now, in the year 2026, Caitlin Clark's overall net worth is sitting at a staggering, mind-boggling $20 million, completely and utterly dwarfing every single one of her veteran peers. This massive wealth is entirely driven by her own off-court business acumen, including a blockbuster, history-making 8-year, $28 million signature shoe deal with Nike, alongside a portfolio of massive, highly lucrative corporate partnerships with globally recognized brands like Gatorade, State Farm, Panini America, and Hy-Vee. Meanwhile, her actual, verifiable WNBA salary, even under the absolute maximum terms of the newly negotiated collective bargaining agreement, sits at roughly $528,846. That number is a literal, laughable drop in the bucket compared to her true, undeniable free market value and the tens of millions of dollars in highly verifiable, completely undeniable revenue she single-handedly generates for the league in sold-out ticket sales, massive merchandise spikes, and completely record-breaking television ratings that routinely beat out regular-season NHL and MLB broadcasts. When you seamlessly interlace these highly verifiable, completely factual financial realities with the deeply sourced but still technically unsourced rumors of a sovereign wealth or private equity-backed mega league stepping in to offer her a $150 million guaranteed baseline contract, complete with direct league equity and lucrative broadcasting percentages, the WNBA's current financial model suddenly looks like a total, irredeemable joke. The fake elements of the rumors blend in perfectly with the real, undeniable economics, because the WNBA's current compensation structure is so comically, tragically disproportionate to Clark's actual cultural and financial footprint that a 9-figure breakaway offer doesn't just sound plausible to the average fan. It sounds like a deeply conservative, completely logical estimate of her true economic worth in an open, unregulated market. Furthermore, this entire chaotic situation has violently and rapidly morphed into a bitter, high-stakes, highly politicized culture war, effectively framing Caitlin Clark's impending, heavily rumored exit as the ultimate loyalty and rivalry choice between the deeply entrenched old guard of the WNBA and the highly lucrative, unapologetic player empowerment era of the future. You absolutely have to remember the deep, institutional resentment that has bubbled just beneath the surface since the moment she was drafted, perfectly and brutally encapsulated by the highly controversial leaked 2025 conversations where Minnesota Lynx star Napheesa Collier allegedly exposed Cathy Engelbert. According to the explosive leaks, Engelbert was allegedly caught saying in a closed-door meeting that Caitlin should be immensely grateful she makes $16 million off the court, and that all the new players should simply be on their knees thanking their lucky stars for the existing league structure rather than demanding systemic change. Even though Engelbert's PR team frantically and aggressively denied making those exact, highly damaging comments, The narrative damage was permanently and irreversibly done, firmly cementing the widespread public narrative that the WNBA establishment fundamentally views Clark not as a financial savior to be protected and elevated, but as an uppity, disruptive rookie who desperately needs to be put in her place and humbled by the veterans. Add into this toxic mix the horrific, highly targeted, and continuously unchecked on-court physical violence, such as the deeply controversial, widely condemned, retroactive flagrant 2 neck foul from Connecticut Sun enforcer Alyssa Thomas in June 2026, or the infamous hip checks from her rookie season. These physical incidents were so incredibly badly mishandled by the league's disciplinary committee that NBA Commissioner Adam Silver reportedly had to personally, forcefully, step in behind the scenes and practically strong-arm Engelbert to issue a suspension just to save face with the media. When you combine all of these elements, you have the absolute textbook definition of a toxic, hostile, and utterly unworkable workplace environment. This conflict is no longer just about the sport of basketball. It has evolved into a deeply visceral, highly charged cultural division, a bitter war between the traditional, fiercely protective, deeply jealous veterans who desperately want to maintain the status quo of the past 20 years, and a revolutionary, highly marketable talent who is deeply and understandably tired of being battered, bruised, and completely taken for granted by the very executives whose massive six-figure salaries she essentially pays through her television viewership. And if you are still looking for absolute, undeniable proof that Clark and her elite management team have been quietly, meticulously orchestrating this brilliant exit strategy for months, you just have to look closely and decode the incredibly revealing, seemingly mundane clues she has been leaving in plain sight throughout the entire 2026 WNBA season. Take, for a prime example, the official, widely circulated media narrative emerging directly from the Indiana Fever training camp that Clark is purposely, voluntarily taking an off-ball role this year. The team claims she is relying entirely on teammates like Raven Johnson and Kelsey Mitchell to bring the basketball up the court so she can catch her breath, manage her stamina, and deal with a supposedly lingering, unspecified lower back injury. While the gullible mainstream sports media largely accepted this highly convenient PR spin at absolute face value, deep league insiders know exactly what this really is: a highly calculated, incredibly smart physical preservation tactic. It is a strategic, deliberate physical downshift, engineered by her trainers to ensure her body is completely healthy, fully rested, and structurally sound for the highly anticipated launch of the new rival league next year. She is completely refusing to sacrifice her highly valuable, long-term physical equity for a WNBA organization that stubbornly refuses to even protect her from dangerous cheap shots in meaningless regular season games. Then, you simply must look at her heavily publicized, deeply fascinating closed-door conversation with former President Barack Obama at the highly exclusive 2026 WNBA All-Star Weekend in Chicago. During this highly scrutinized interaction, lip readers and insiders reported that Obama, specifically, pointedly told her, "Don't let all this nonsense get you down. You're a hooper. Keep your eyes on the big picture." That highly publicized interaction wasn't just a friendly, casual photo op for social media. That was a profound, deeply coded validation from one of the most powerful, connected men in the world, directly advising her to block out the petty noise of the WNBA's toxic internal politics, preserve her joy for the game, and implicitly, heavily blessing her to take absolute control of her own financial and athletic empire. When you logically reframe these seemingly normal, everyday sports events, a strategic, highly unusual shift in offensive schemes, and a high-profile, deeply intense pep talk from a former commander-in-chief,